name is Nathan Cole, and today I'm going to share how my marriage unraveled in the most humiliating way possible. What happened on that driveway still burns in my memory. This isn't just about betrayal. It's about discovering the truth too late. Stick with me, because every twist in this story will leave you stunned. But before we dive in, take a moment to hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. Your comments remind me that sharing stories like this isn't a waste, that each one of you makes it worth showing up with something raw and real. "You'll never give me what he can," Lydia sneered, her words slicing like broken glass. "You're too dull to handle this trip." I stood there, 44 years old, holding house keys in my palm while my wife stood with Marcus Hale, the personal trainer I'd been paying for over the last 9 months. He towered behind her, a magazine cover smile, his arms stretched across her waist as if claiming a prize. His curling grin didn't flicker with shame. He looked proud, like stealing another man's life was some kind of achievement. The sting wasn't just her insult. It was knowing I had spent 4 months mapping out every detail of this anniversary. 8 days, 4 countries, every landmark, every restaurant she'd whispered about while scrolling a lifestyle journal late at night. Sunrise at the Louvre, wine in a hidden Tuscan vineyard, dinners she thought I'd never notice her saving on her phone. And now, she was taking all of it, with him. "I'm still going," she said, sliding the strap of her luxury handbag up her shoulder. "Just not with you." No suitcase, no luggage. For a second, I thought she'd forgotten to pack. But the truth was worse. She wasn't leaving me behind by accident. She was cutting me out on purpose. 12 years of marriage, 12 anniversaries. I'd never once missed her birthday, never ignored a new haircut, never failed to cheer her through her job shifts or comfort her when she doubted herself. I even paid for those very training sessions that came with benefits I hadn't bargained for. I handed her a velvet envelope with the itinerary I'd printed the night before. My voice wavered, but the words were steady. "The flight leaves in 2 hours. She barely looked at me before dropping the next blade. "Marcus already has his ticket." Same flight, same seat arrangements, same plan, except I wasn't included. I nodded once, slipped into my car, and left. What she didn't realize was that every reservation, every private tour, every dinner was locked under my name, all paid through Nexora Group's accounts, protected with layers of verification tied to my phone alone. As I pulled away, I glanced in the mirror. The rideshare I had ordered for us sat waiting. Lydia leaned into Marcus as though he owned her. Maybe he owned her attention, but the trip, that was mine. I'd first met Lydia at 30 when she worked in an art studio uptown, speaking about paintings with a passion that made even dull canvases feel alive. 2 years later, at a private gathering mostly filled with her friends, we married. My parents had died when I was still in my teens, so she quickly became my world, the center of everything I built. From a work suite in our spare bedroom, I grew my consultancy into something bigger. I took every late-night meeting, chased every client, stacked up 65-hour weeks to give her the life she claimed she wanted. When business expanded, I hired staff. When profits climbed, I upgraded our life. The better restaurants, the vacations, the house in Silvergate Hills, she fell in love with one lazy Sunday drive. But her joy didn't last. Soon she compared us to friends with more, couples with larger homes, wives who flaunted vacations online. "You never do anything fun," she'd complain, as if the sacrifices I made were invisible. Then came Marcus. "It's about feeling good again," she'd said. 3 sessions a week at that luxury gym in Millstone Bay, $180 each. At first I was happy she was smiling again, but soon it was longer sessions, secretive phone calls, new outfits to flaunt her progress, and endless mentions of Marcus. Marcus says hotels in Europe are authentic in ways Americans can't understand. Marcus thinks people our age waste their lives by settling down. Marcus has been to Madrid 7 times. He knows all the places tourists never find. I should have seen it. She wasn't just changing her body. She was rewriting her life. But I was too busy planning our anniversary to notice she'd already chosen her companion. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, breathing, staring at the travel tickets still resting on the seat beside me. 2 copies of everything, backups like I always prepared. My phone buzzed. A message from Lydia. Don't wait up. Flight might be delayed. The same woman who had just told me I was too dull now spoke like she was headed to visit family. And in that moment, something shifted. It wasn't rage. It wasn't grief. It was something colder, cleaner. A frosted clarity about who I had married and who I had become. Love wasn't supposed to be bought or begged for. It was either given freely or it wasn't there at all. Lydia hadn't loved me for years, long before Marcus appeared. I just hadn't wanted to face it. When I reached my work suite, I opened the folder where every detail of the trip lived. Confirmation numbers, hotel bookings, private tours, dinner reservations. All of it sat under my name, secured through Nixora Group's accounts, tied to my identification, and protected with codes only my phone could unlock. Lydia thought she had stolen something from me, but the truth was she never held it in the first place. The gift wasn't hers, it was mine from the beginning. My phone rang. "Mr. Cole," a voice said. "This is Atlantic Airways calling about your departure to Madrid." I leaned back. Actually, I need to adjust that reservation. Within 20 minutes, I had switched my ticket to another airline, a flight leaving 3 hours later. Lydia and Marcus still had the seats I'd once booked for us, but in Europe, every contact number, every ID requirement, every reservation still pointed back to me. Then I dialed Fiona Briggs, my assistant. "Book me a companion ticket," I said. "Arovia flight 763 to Milan. Leaving tonight." "Of course, Mr. Cole. May I ask who'll be traveling with you?" For a moment I hesitated, then thought of my sister, Nora Daniels, who had rebuilt her life after her cheating husband walked out. She had told me for years to stop sacrificing myself for someone who never truly valued me. "Nora," I said. "She deserves this trip more than anyone." I didn't wait to see Lydia's plane leave. I already knew where it would end. 10 hours later, I sat in Linate Airport in Milan, sharing a bottle of Tuscan Red with Nora while waiting for our connection to Verona. My phone lit up with Lydia's name. I ignored it. When she called again, I picked up. "Nathan," she snapped, her voice harsh and frayed. "There's been some mistake. The hotel canceled our room. The concierge is treating us like criminals unless the primary cardholder is here." I swirled the wine in my glass. "That's unusual. Did you show them the confirmation?" "Of course I did. They don't care. They said it's fraud prevention." Her voice cracked with anger. "We're standing in the resort lobby with luggage and nowhere to go." "And Marcus?" I asked. A pause. "He's trying to find another room, but everything's booked. It's peak season." "Costly time to travel," I said evenly. "This isn't a joke, Nathan. Call the hotel. Fix this. The number is—" "I'm in Italy," I interrupted. Silence. Then, "What do you mean, Italy?" "Milan, on my way to Verona. Nora and I are having a wonderful trip." Her voice dropped lower, steadier, almost a hiss. "You're supposed to be at home." "Why would I be home? This was our anniversary trip." "You can't take my sister with you. That's wrong." "Your sister? Nora is my sister. And Lydia, this was never your trip. It was mine. I planned it, I paid for it, and I chose who would join me." "You bastard," she spat. "You sabotaged us." "I didn't sabotage anything, I just kept what was mine." "We have nowhere to stay," she said. "Do you understand that? Alec and I are stranded." "Marcus seems resourceful. I'm sure he'll manage." "The card you gave me isn't working either. It's declined everywhere." "Oh," I said, feigning surprise. "I suspended that card this morning. Security precaution. Surely you understand." Nora smirked across the table, raising her glass, and I had to bite back a laugh. Lydia's tone shifted again, this time desperate. "Nathan, please, this is madness. We can fix things when you're back, but right now I need your help, please." For 12 years, whenever she softened her voice, I gave in. I solved every crisis she handed me. But in that airport, watching strangers rushing to their gates, I realized I felt nothing. 6 hours ago, I said calmly. You told me I was too dull for this trip. You claimed another man valued you more than I ever could. Now you're in Madrid with him. That's what you wanted. Enjoy it. And I ended the call. Nora lifted her glass. To families who remind us of our worth. We toasted, and for the first time in months, I smiled without forcing it. A message buzzed across my screen moments later. You'll regret this. I deleted it without a second glance. Nora didn't press me during the flight, but once we checked into a flat overlooking the Tiber River, she finally asked, "How long has this been happening?" I was pulling shirts from the travel bag, realizing I'd packed in a rush. The affair? Hard to say. Months, at least. She shook her head. Not the affair. You. How long have you been preparing for this? I paused. Nora was always sharper, even though she was only 2 years younger. When her ex-husband Martin Cross began creeping home late, she had a private investigator working within a week. By the time the divorce was filed, she had every record lined up and the house secured. I wasn't planning anything, I said slowly. This morning I thought I was taking Lydia on our anniversary trip. Nora sat at the edge of the bed. Nathan, you don't accidentally cancel hotel bookings. You don't accidentally block a credit card or buy 2 tickets to Italy with me as your companion. You've been preparing, whether you admit it or not. Her words hit harder than I expected. She was right. Over the past year, I had been moving joint assets into business accounts under Nexora Group, requiring both signatures for access. I'd reset every password, reinforced security on client data, and even had Victor Lang, my attorney, review the prenup. I told myself it was smart business. Maybe it was something deeper. You remember when you became my emergency contact for the company? Nora asked. That was 10 months ago. Lydia was your wife. She should have been the obvious choice. But you chose me. Her eyes softened. Part of you knew, Nathan. Maybe not the details. But you felt something was broken. I looked down at my phone. Lydia's name flashed again. I hit a decline. There's more, I admitted. 5 weeks ago, I noticed charges that didn't add up. Expensive dinners, jewelry, downtown hotels while she claimed she was at the gym. You didn't confront her? No. Because I realized it wouldn't matter. If she lied, I'd know. If she told the truth, the marriage would collapse. Either way, nothing good came of it. So instead, you gave her a stage to expose herself, Nora said softly. I let the thought sit. Maybe I had built that trip as a test, a trap. Maybe I needed certainty more than hope. And now you know, she whispered. I nodded. Now I know. Another message buzzed through. I flipped the phone face down. What happens next? She asked. I stared out at the ancient city lights. Now? We enjoy Verona. The next morning, while Nora toured the gallery, I sat in the hotel's business lounge making calls I should have made years ago. First, Victor Lang, my attorney. Victor, it's Nathan Cole. I want to start divorce proceedings. I'm sorry to hear that, Nathan. Amicable? No. Adultery, misused assets, and protecting my company. Then we'll need records, finances, evidence, valuations. I've been collecting them for months, and right now she's in Madrid with her trainer, funded by what she thought was my money. Perfect. In Montana, adultery tied to joint funds can shape the settlement. Next, my business banker. Remove Lydia as an authorized user on all Nexora Group accounts immediately. Raise security thresholds to $6,000. Report any attempts she makes. Understood. Then my accountant, Teresa Vaughn. I need a full audit. Track every personal expense Lydia pushed through in the last year. This sounds serious. It is. I want proof of how much she spent on him. Final call, the locksmith. I need every lock changed on the house in Silvergate Hills today. Are you locked out, sir? No. I'm locking someone else out. By noon, the lines connecting Lydia to my world were severed, finances secured, business sealed, house off limits. The attorney was engaged. It felt like dismantling a machine one wire at a time. When Nora found me on the balcony, I was scanning emails with calm I hadn't felt in months. "You look different," she said, sliding into the chair beside me. "Different how?" "Like you finally dropped something heavy you were never meant to carry." She was right. For the first time in years, I wasn't wondering where Lydia was or what excuse she would offer next. For the first time in years, I wasn't chasing her moods or trying to decode half-hidden texts. I wasn't inventing grand gestures to win back affection already given to someone else. When my phone buzzed with Lydia's name, her 6th call that day, I answered. "Nathan," she snapped. "Thank God. We need to talk." "About what?" "About this insanity you're pulling. Stranding us in Madrid, cutting off our money, playing games." "What games?" I asked evenly. "You know exactly what I mean, this whole revenge performance." I glanced at Nora, who sipped her drink, pretending not to listen. "Revenge?" I said, leaning back. "Lydia, I'm sitting on a balcony in Verona, drinking good wine with my sister, watching the sunset over the city. I'm not plotting revenge. I'm finally enjoying the trip I planned, with the right company." I lowered my voice. "The locks at the house in Silvergate Hills are changed. The accounts are secured. Victor Lang has been retained. When you get back, divorce papers will be waiting." "You can't be serious." "I've never been more serious." I hung up, powered the phone off, and lifted my glass toward Nora. "To new beginnings," she said. 4 months later, I sat in Victor's office, reviewing the divorce settlement. Lydia had fought hard, demanding half of everything I'd built. But Montana law allowed reimbursement when marital funds were funneled into an affair. Victor slid the report across the desk. "Total misuse of assets. $52,000 over 10 months. Restaurant bills. Downtown hotel rooms, jewelry, even those training sessions." I stared at the number. More than many people earn in a year, poured into another man while she told me I wasn't enough. "And the house?" I asked. "You bought it before the marriage, mortgage paid from business income. She'll walk away with a small settlement, just enough to cover a deposit on a new apartment." "And Marcus?" Victor's mouth curled. "Interesting twist. He's already back in Bryan County with his wife and kids. His time in Europe was nothing but a fling. He never planned to stay with her." So Lydia had thrown away 12 years of stability for a man who treated her as a layover. Victor tapped the last page. "Sign here, and in 6 months it's final." I signed, feeling no grief, only relief. 10 months later, I was back in Italy. Not chasing closure, but because I'd fallen for Verona during that first escape. I'd sold the Silvergate Hills house and purchased a small flat along the Tiber River. Nexora Group thrived now that my energy wasn't drained trying to appease someone insatiable. 3 new contracts, a growing loyal team. Purpose again. One afternoon, I sat reading on my terrace when a message arrived from an unknown number. "I hope you're happy." I deleted it without hesitation. Because I was happy. Not the hollow performance I used to stage during the last years of my marriage, but real happiness, the kind that came with waking up free from someone else's demands and moods. Nora visited often. She was seeing a widowed professor who treated her as if every word mattered. Over dinners at a little trattoria down the street, we laughed about books, work, and the strange freedom of finally building lives shaped by choice, not compromise. I never saw Lydia again. Word drifted back that she'd moved to Fairhaven, trying to rebuild what she had thrown away, for a man who never planned to catch her. And in the end, I realized the quietest revenge was the sweetest, simply living well,